All right, welcome back to the last part of our conversation with Duane, who's been fascinating in his insights. He has so much to offer from his 19 plus years, and plus, of course, he's also been working with a lot of other athletes. So there's a lot of insights that he's providing. Though I did have one question for Duane around nutritional strategies, around supplementation that he has been using, and what he thinks might be some good tips around those areas. So, Duane, do you have a personal philosophy around nutrition?
Yeah, so your body is really a good is a good indicator most of the time, but I think it can fool us. And I think we've been fooled a lot by stuff that's available out there. I mean, who doesn't love a big thing of greasy French fries or a huge bowl of ice cream? And they're both okay in different quantities at different times. So yeah, ideally, right? The idea there have been so many ideal diets that have come along, and I tend to focus on things that are more plant-based. And I know that a lot of people are real meat eaters, and they seem to do well with it. What you can go by? What you go by is when you go for your physical, and they draw 3 vials of blood, and then you get all this data back, and the doctor is looking through them and saying, "Hi, and there's this is good, and this is good," and then you look at it yourself, and then you start looking it up to find out, what you need to do. My personal thing is that's what I go on, and I've noticed over the years, as you get older, your blood pressure will tend to rise. Mine will rise as I mentioned before, under stress, under social stress. Just a trip to the doctor's office, like all of a sudden, it's like, phew, what the heck was that about? And so then he says, well, let's just wait a few minutes. So then he takes it again and it's down. So that's one thing there. But in general, my blood pressure has increased, not to a dangerous point, but it's increased over the years. And it seems to be more sensitive than it used to be. So I try to avoid things that will that will raise my blood pressure. And if I'm going to be in a stressful situation, I will not drink very much coffee. In fact, drinking coffee, as much as I love that feeling of, it's basically dopamine. It's raising your dopamine level, which is like cocaine in your brain, and your brain is saying, "Dang, I'm really happy about this." So I have to watch that. Let's talk about as we get older, because that's where I'm living now, and the people that I tend to service. Although younger people, you can probably get by with almost anything. You can make a lot of mistakes, and you're not going to fall down. You're not going to fall down dead. As we get older, we have to be more careful about that. So as we get older, our protein needs seem to increase a lot. And everything I read seems to indicate you need a lot more protein than you think that you were getting, particularly if you're trying to build muscle mass or keep your muscle mass up, which is the other factor that I was talking about earlier, just staying alive and keeping the blood flow going into your brain, which also builds more brain neurons and improves your memory. Oh, there's a whole bunch of things in that realm of improving your memory, your attitude, your life, and your consciousness. But so the protein adds to muscle mass, and we have a harder time. It seems to me, I'm not a nutritionist, but it seems to me that the requirement is because we don't utilize it as well. It doesn't drop in to the workout that we've just done. So I also take things like branched chain amino acids, and I do things after a workout that help to recharge, to help the muscles to build up that you have been working on. Because when you work a muscle, you're breaking it down, and to build it, and for it recharge, to fix the, the damaged cells. You need to add things to it. So the protein that I take in, I take plant-based protein, and there's so many different kinds. I mean, I'm heavily into pea protein, and so how about sugar? We tend to, as we get older, we say, oh, no, that tastes sweet, because that, our sensitivity to smells and thereby taste tends to decrease slightly. And for some reason, it seems like we tend to like, man, I really like that. We like pastries, things that are sweet with, particularly with sucrose. Oh man, who can avoid that? Man, just stuff it in. Well, you do that too much and you're going to start leaning towards pre-diabetic, so you don't want to do that. So what can you do? So I've been doing, things that are on the low glycemic kinds of things. Certain kinds of berries are down there. Strawberries are down there, things. And I have them in smoothies with protein. So my thing has been, over the years, to include more plant food, more green stuff, more, I even throw spinach into a blender. Spinach, green stuff, eat low glycemic index fruits, and protein. I pile that stuff in like it's going out of style, and that seems to take care of my needs. I've also, like in the last year, I've gone onto mostly plant-based food and very little sugars and very little refined flours. A lot of high fiber foods, and my weight has dropped. And I didn't need to lose weight. I'm a pretty skinny guy. You'd look at me and say, "Yeah, this guy's a runner. He's a swimmer. He's a triathlete or something." One guy said to me when I was working at a presidential convention, and I'd walked into a store there. The guy said, "You're a professional tennis player?" I said, "No." He said, "Yeah, well, you look like one." So sir, I am. So I'm pretty skinny. Well, now I've gone and lost like about eight pounds over that. So I'm lean and mean. Well, I'm not really mean. I'm lean. I'm a skinny guy, and with a much better power to weight ratio, trying to maintain through as I get older.
Mm-hmm. Right. Any supplementation?
Right. And then supplements, right. Multivitamins, I always take that. And then I add in calcium with D3 if I'm not getting enough sunlight. I take, I just experiment around. And you can, ask someone who's a dietitian, ask someone who's, I like doctors that are internists and also jocks. I call them joctors, and they don't fool around. They get right down to the nitty gritty, and they can tell you some things about what you might need. So that's kind of what I rely on.
Great.
That and the athletic sites, you'll find.
Yeah, great. In fact, you are probably the third guest I have on my show who has talked about plant-based diet. And I had a friend of mine who was on the show who also is a vegan in his lifestyle. So there's also that. So yeah, it's interesting how there's been a lot more interest to a plant-based diet within the U.S., at least within the American, popular cultural consciousness, right? Which is a good thing.
Yeah, and also I've been feeling more and more over the years bad about eating animals. There are things, so back like I grew up way out in the country, and when we raised animals and we ate them, but that was then, and it was like normal. And now I don't know, maybe it's just the culture, maybe the time. but you look an animal in the eye, and they're a friend of yours, you know, you say, man, I can't eat this thing. But so like another thing about plant-based proteins, it's not a complete protein. I mean, there are parts of that spectrum that are not quite complete. So I try to throw in things that are more complete occasionally. So I will use whey protein. Whey's pretty complete. Eggs, and milk, other milk products. So you need to round that protein thing out.
Makes sense. That's great advice, actually. I mean, I at least I'm taking that. We all are conscious about protein intake, but I think your point about as you grow older, the need to replenish some of your muscle fibers, you keep referring to also the brain rebuild, is all dependent on quality of protein that you consume. So that's something that at least I'm taking away in what you said. Very important. And of course, the branch chain amino acids. Yes, I've been personally also adding that to my post-workout, supplementation now. It's helping. I feel I recover faster when I have the branch chain, the BCAAs in my post-workout drink.
Yeah, there are so many things that you start tweaking, and you've been at it long enough, so you know how you can tweak things so that you start feeling better. Sometimes you don't know if it's real or if it's up here, but up here is just as real because it generates the chemicals that your body needs to accomplish that. And sometimes before if I've got a heavy bike workout that's going to require a lot of strength, or it's going to take a lot of energy, I will coffee up and also practically inject sugar into my brain, and just crank it out. Now I'm wasted at the end, but it's just something that I do. It's just one of the tricks that I use to convince myself that I'm doing something better, but it seems to work. It's what we do in life, so when I started talking, remember I said we're all overcoming, we have certain limitations that we decided those were going to be our limitations, and then we've spent the rest of our life with those and trying to work around them. And that's kind of what we do with when we start tweaking our special training stuff. We're working around that stuff, and it's kind of humorous because everyone comes up with the earliest people that were doing the Ironman, the first Ironman back in 1920 or something. No, it was actually 83. Oh, by the way, I have a friend who ran the second one, in Hawaii, but they would at places along the way they would put let me see, they had banana and aspirin. They grind it all, aspirin and some kind of caffeine, into something that they called jet fuel. And they'd find that rock, they're running along, they'd find the rock, they'd eat that, and the caffeine would blow them away. The sugar and let me see, aspirin, I think, thinned out the blood. I don't know what, but they all came up with crazy stuff. So
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think the way you put it, right? People trying to compensate for something, some constraint, and then everyone has their own personal strategies and theories, and each of us will have to just take it, try it, experiment, and see if it works for us, and adapt it. But I think that point is that's a great point. I mean, that's fantastic insight there.
Yeah.
Great. Anything else, Duane? I think we had a fantastic conversation. I loved it. Lot to take away. I love your energy. I like to be like you when I am grown up. When I grow up, I want to be like you. So you're an inspiration. Keep at it. You're a great example of being active, being positive, being a possibility at your age. And it's not like your age is in any way old anymore. But I think setting more and more people seeing it gives more inspiration to stay healthy and stay positive. Because as we get old, I think I've seen that even people who get to 50, I'm 50 now, and I've seen people who get to 50 and think, oh my God, I'm old, I can't do that, I can't do that. And here you are, I think that's what is exciting, and that's what's exciting me, that, hey, 50 is not old. Look at this guy, he's going to be 80, he's badass. So
you can do it. You can do it. You can do anything.
Absolutely.
You can do, and anyone can do anything. That's what I believe. I truly believe, with the right encouragement and the right, it almost takes, needing, it's kind of like it's like a mental massage. They can be convinced by themselves that they can do anything. And it's true in any field. You can become a mathematician. You can become a blah, blah, blah,
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's great. So Duane, thanks a lot. Appreciate you taking the time out.
It's been a lot of fun.
I really hope. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll talk again.
All right. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Bye.
See you.